get my thing smaller. Sharing some information on who the Rotary Cadre is, and the Rotary Cadre is underneath the umbrella of the Rotary Foundation. So what it is it's, I'll go into all that, but it's Rotarians from all over the world who coordinate the global grant projects in the world, and the 6, now going to be 7 areas of focus for Rotary. So basically what we do is we serve these folks. We work in water, clean filters, which we all know about. We work with child and maternal health, a lot of work with kids with cleft palates, and also we do a lot of support for clinics and villages. One thing to know, though, the challenge of clinics and villages, in this case, this is a birthing room in Guatemala, that it's very hard to transition the women from giving birth with midwives in their huts to doing it in a clinic, but it's something we're working on. We also work with polio, as you know, and we also have wheelchair projects, a lot of work in disease prevention. The Cadre's purpose is to ensure the stewardship of TRF funds. That means the money that districts, clubs, individual members donate. We assist the foundation trustees in funding projects and in the review of projects so they can assess the effectiveness. We maximize the use of funds, and we focus intensely on sustainability, which I think we all know has been a new focus for Rotary in the last 5 years. We provide technical expertise and advice to people in the planning and implementation of global projects, global grant projects all over the world. The Cadres comprise of about 700 plus Rotarians around the world from 90 countries. I'll give you that information a little later, who know how to do global grants and also have technical and professional expertise in the areas of focus. These are the areas of work that we do. We work in maternal health, disease prevention and treatment, water sanitation, basic educational literacy. That's the main area that I'm in, where I'm one of the 3 technical coordinators in the world who monitor all those basic ed projects. We have peace and conflict resolution. There's 7 peace centers in the world. We do work in economic and community development. And I think you're aware that as of July this year, environment's going to be the 7th area of focus. We do financial auditing of projects. We do community development overall, and we also all have experience in developing, implement, and writing global grants. The types of work we do is there's the pre-application grant assistance, so that when a district and club are wanting to work on writing a global grant, they can contact one of the Cadre members in the area and use them for their expertise. We do technical reviews of grants before they're approved. Like, for instance, a couple of years ago, I reviewed a global grant application from Beirut, Lebanon, to install laptop computers in all their schools and eventually do it across the country. And that's still in process, which is really kind of exciting. We do advanced site visits. Some projects require us to go before the grant is actually implemented. We visit in the middle of the project-ish or interim when it's far enough along that we can see if it needs some assist. And then when projects are done, we go in and we do a post-project visit, and we do a major evaluation of the project so we can assess its effectiveness. We do audits. I don't do the audits, but a lot of folks with backgrounds like Chad do those kind. And then we do operational audits, and that's how the projects themselves are actually organized. Application and project advisors, we basically assist with all the implementing of the project from a distance, obviously. We work with both the host team, which is the in-country team for the global grant, and with the international partner. team. We do technical reviews, and that's a major thing that I do anyways. I go into a project when it's in the middle or at the end and assess it. And we also assess projects beforehand for feasibility. One example would be I was reviewing a grant in Mumbai, India, and the project was in a school, and they only were going to be letting the boys have computers, not the girls. So we said, no, that can't work like that, because it's, again, our principles. So they had to change it, but things like that really happen. So we do site visits. I've kind of touched on that. And then we do audits. We review, when we do a site visit, they kind of flow like this. We review the planning and implementation from here, or I do anyway. You do it all online. You review all the documents. When you get to the site, which all those arrangements are done with the host club, meaning they will give me suggestions of where I should be staying, and with families who I connect with, et cetera, when I'm there. I do all the air arrangements are done with Rotary. The Rotary Foundation has a travel agency that handles all the tickets and stuff. When I get there, you meet, you talk with the folks for a while, you go to dinner, you go to lunch, you socialize, you get acquainted, you verify the Rotary's involvement in the project. I review all of the financial statements and documents to see what was purchased and the verification of that. I'm usually there from 3 to 6 days, depending upon the size of the project. And during that time, you get toured all over, and you meet with the project team, and you meet with the people and the beneficiaries. So I visit schools a lot. I visit village schools. I visit villages. You meet with the head of the tribal chief, depending upon who it is. In Guatemala, you meet with the Cocote, which is every community in Guatemala, meaning every village has a village council, and that's how they operate in their country. Like I said, you meet with the team and you meet with the cooperating organization. Usually there's Rotary's linked in with different local groups who help them do the project. And so you meet with those folks and we share ideas. If I've made some observations, I may diplomatically suggest some things they want to think about. A major thing we do at the end is we spend probably a good afternoon talking about what we saw and going over their plan for sustainability, and we share ideas about that. We have a whole way we do that. And at the end of the project, we've implemented this in the last 3 years. We meet with the Rotary team and with the cooperating agencies, and we have a feedback session so that they can say, well, what did they think about my visit? What did they learn? What could I have done better, et cetera, et cetera. What I do not do is tell them what I saw in terms of feedback. We just can't do that. It's all secured, so to speak, so that we can honestly say what we saw, positive, negative, whatever. So when my visit ends, flying back and back at home, I write probably a 20-page summary of the evaluation and my official evaluation report, which is reviewed by the basic ed and literacy, if that's the kind of project I'm doing. There's a manager for each area of focus that is an employee of the Rotary Foundation, and that person with their team reviews the evaluation. Then we talk on the phone. We now do Zooms if we can. And then that report is sent to the Board of Trustees for their review and their acceptance. This is an example of a project in Mumbai, India. A school wanted to implement computer technology. They had 50 classrooms. They wanted 50 computers and servers, mini servers in every classroom. On the roof, there were 324 solar panels. This is just some of them. You can see Mumbai in the background. This is one of their computer labs. They only had one lab and everything else was in the classroom. This is a teacher teaching math by the angle of arcs, I think it looks like. And she's using the whiteboard, et cetera. You can see the projector up on this near the ceiling. This is another classroom. This is on the right, the photo on the right is moms who have come in for a class on how to use computers. And that's really was pretty exciting. To give you an idea of the environment, this is the housing project right next to the school. So that's real world, real life in India. And that's a pretty nice area. So even though it doesn't look it, okay, there's a lot worse places. This is a child and adult literacy project in Cambodia. You can see the home they're building and then how it was finished. And then you can see the mom has a yellow blouse in the middle of the kids, and it's a family that are learning how to read and write. They learn in Khmer. It's not English, it's Khmer. We also do economic and community development projects with a focus on microfinance. Microfinance is when you give small loans to individuals. In this case, this project was all women, and they would get a loan of like, $50, and they took a portion of that and would go to the market and buy chickens. They would raise the chickens. They would take the eggs from the chickens and sell them in the community. So it kind of works like that. When they have to pay their loans back over 3 years. So, you can imagine how it breaks out for $50 over 3 years, or maybe it's 100. It's not huge amounts of money. But what they're required to do is whatever they make to pay the loan back, they have to put 10% into a special account for education. And so what it's doing is it's ensuring that all of their children go to public schools in Guatemala, because they're not free. Okay. Guatemala says it has free public education, but it really doesn't, because it charges parents for books, and kids have to have uniforms to come to school, and the schools don't provide them. So it's really been very, very powerful. There's another project, I didn't put the pictures here, but it's called Kakaime. And it's a group of women like this, and they make jewelry. And then the jewelry is made from beads and cord that they have, and thin strips of metal. And then those are in turn merchandised to stores in the United States. So it's been very, very profitable for them. They've just finished building a Kakaime store in Guatemala and selling it there too. That's over 8 years, but very, very successful project. This is the sanitation projects on the right. You can see the toilets before we built an eco toilet. This one is concrete and block, and it's in the Rio Dulce area of Guatemala, which is over on the coast. If this was near Lake Atitlan, which is in the kind of the northwestern highlands, it would have been made out of fiberglass, because you don't need to worry about the weather as much. This is water in the Rio Concepcion, Guatemala. This is part of the environmental challenges that are coming along. They're there, but they're still huge. On the right, you see a picture of Lake Atitlan, which is beautiful. It has 3 volcanoes around it. You cannot swim in that water. It is very dangerous because it is so polluted, and it is polluted because of American companies built coffee plantations, used like DDT and other fertilizers, dangerous fertilizers, and it washed into the lake. And over the last 10 years, it's basically unswimmable. The other thing that happened is that Texaco, in the company, oil company, decided that they wanted their people to be able to go fishing. So they put a fish in the lake, and that fish actually ate up the vegetation and ate up the other fish. So it destroyed the ecosystem of Lake Atitlan. Right now, the goal is there's about 14 Rotary clubs that are partnered to clean up the lake over the next 10 years. So we'll see. We hope so. If people are interested, any questions? I'm just rolling here, so. Okay, right now we need volunteers in Africa, Central America, and Southeast Asia. We have a lot of need for water and sanitation professionals and health professionals. We want community development specialists, and we particularly need Spanish-speaking auditors for North and Central America. You can see this list of needs that I was just mentioning. One of the things that is happening that isn't the foundation led, but we do partner, is in some countries there, you know, the Doctors Without Borders, you may have heard of that. There are also church-based doctors and dental groups that go to countries in need, and we partner with them. One example would be when we were in Guatemala 4 years ago, we partnered with a Georgia church group of doctors and nurses who were there, and they come down in groups of 5 for every week between January 1st and the end of May. And they triage at the local hospital and do surgeries varying from minor to major surgery over a week, and then they go back home and they leave their medical equipment there. So what we ended up doing is working in the nutrition ward with the babies. And these were babies who were being prepared for cleft palate surgery. So anyway, that's kind of things you can do. Whoops, went too fast. Over the 3 years, 2015 to 18, we grew to about 700 advisors from 70 countries with 80 languages. We funded $202 million in projects in 95 countries, and there were over 600 site visits by Rotarians who were Cadre members. The report from 2019, which had been a year ago, in basic education, we used $11 million in grants, and the total granting amount for that year for all projects was $87 million. So I think it's important for Rotarians to understand what the Cadre does and how the money of the foundation is being used around the world. As I mentioned, we also fund 7 peace centers where we train Rotarians who put in application to become a peace fellow, and those are funded also by the foundation. We most recently, as a Cadre, put together a strategic plan for 2020 to 22, and that was begun last July in 2020. We're working on reviewing and clarifying our structure. I'll go back to that. We also are working on enabling more activity in purposeful engagement from Cadre members, and we're working on improving connectivity between the Cadre. It's nice to say, well, like I'll use the basic N literacy, the one I work with. As I said, there's 3 of us, a woman from Uganda and another woman from London, and I work together. We're the leads to run the basic N literacy grants, monitor the grants in the world. And one of the things that we know is that we had 80, a year and a half ago, we had 88 people in the Cadre. And when I went through and worked on refining it, as well as they've come up with a requirement that all Cadre members need to go through a grants management course, which is much expanded from what we do for our grants in the district. You have to complete that, or you will no longer be sent out on projects. So as of now, from the 88, they're really, after I went through it, I found out that there are actually about 72 active Cadre. And of the 72, we've got 58 who are really pretty engaged. So right now there's really 58 basic N literacy Cadre members in the world that we're working with. On that, we're working on improving communication. We do quarterly workshops on Zoom meetings, and we do them in 4 regions. We've organized the world into 4 areas, Europe and Africa, Europe and Africa, India, United States, Central America and South America, and Canada. And then we have the 4th one is Asia and Australia. So what we do is we do a workshop with people, the Cadre members from those areas, And we're just working on building connectivity. The main focus this year is to cause a link between cadre members, their district governor, and their foundation chairs. And the other challenge we face is that some districts don't know much about global grants, for one thing. And two, they really don't know what the cadre does. So we've been working on increasing that awareness level. The other thing is happening is that the TRF has been struggling with how they're going to organize the global grant world, meaning the cadre and its oversight work. And till this point in time, it really hasn't been organized except by the areas of focus. And so what we suggested about a year ago is they organize the world into 7 regions, and then they link those 7 region cadre members together from the 6 areas of focus are now 7, and that we work our main communication within that core group of people. So what's evolved out of that is I'm working with Wade Nomura from San Diego, who is head of Region 7, which we are in, this part of the world. And then I'm the one that monitors the work between the Basic Ed and Literacy Cadre for all the Basic Ed and Literacy Cadre members who live in this region of the world, if all that makes sense. So that's kind of what we're doing to move on. We're trying to improve our structure. We're trying to make sure we use the talents of cadre members, and we're working to improve communication. So we will see where that goes. And this is what our work is really all about. So with that, I bid you adieu.
Thanks, Gene.
Sure. Most welcome.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Any questions? I mean, that was a lot of stuff. So Diane.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions too.
Sure. Go ahead.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, if someone in our district is working on a global grant,
Yeah.
do they go directly to you, or are you saying the district goes to you if they're having problems or issues or questions?
What has happened to date, kind of, except you and I have chatted about the grant stuff, but
Yeah.
to date, there's been no connectivity between, in a lot of places, between the cadre members and their districts. So
Okay.
a club that decides it wants a global grant wouldn't even know I existed in 5,500 period. Okay. They just generally, because there's been no communication. So we're working on that. And from the TRF end, that the area managers and the oversight, the team leaders for the cadre are supposed to be sending out to all the governors the projects that are in their area so that they know what they are. And then you know that I'm here, or whoever else could help you. Now,
Okay.
I'm see, myself and Phil Silvers, who used to, I'll go into all that, but Phil Silvers is another cadre member
Right.
who could help. So our district happens to have 2 people, but for instance, there's nobody in 5495. And in zone 26, I think we're zone 26, right?
Yes. Mhm.
There's about 5 people. So we're working on building a better infrastructure of all that. And the thing I've only been doing this for 4 years. So, but one of the observations I made is that districts and clubs have no clue that we exist. Okay.
That's true.
Generally speaking. So we have a responsibility to do some things to increase the awareness of clubs and districts that we're around, because if you want to do a global grant in this area or that area, you've got some local expertise, or the local expertise can link you up with somebody who really has some incredible expertise. So there's no reason to be flying out there by yourself. The other thing is that cadre members can really reduce the complexity of understanding a global grant. If you've done a global grant, you know what I'm talking about. So we're working on that kind of stuff too. And what was happening is, for a long time, there were enough people doing global grants and kind of doing it on their own, and Rotary wasn't doing a ton to connect to them. But if I was having the same conversation in the United Kingdom,
Mhm.
different conversation totally. You know, those cadre members are fully connected to their districts and their governors, you know, and their foundation chairs and all that. And the problem there is they don't want much help from the cadre because they've been doing it for a long time. So it just depends. Uganda has the same thing in Africa, but there's been a lot of water well projects there. So it just depends on where in the world. But like I was sharing, our strategic thinking and focus is on cleaning up the structure, improving the communication, and building much more connectivity. Because there's a lot of talent out there that's not being used.
Well, I mean, one of the issues that as I'm listening to you, one of the thoughts would be that you would connect with our DRFC, which is Terry Bergman.
Right.
And maybe that's one way to get it out. And because she has underneath her, she has the grants committee,
Right.
which is Bob White.
Right.
So,
and she's on my list to get connected to. But
okay.
the situation is such that the most basic thing right now that could be helpful is I'm writing a little minor session, so to speak, on what we're talking about right here for pets in 5495. Okay. Because they don't talk about the cadre at all. You know, when I was talking with them.
And so I just added it into our academy this year for.
Yes, I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
So
Because I'm going to say, no, there's a lot of things that aren't being talked about at PETS because I think there's just a lot of information. And I think they've, like, for example, they don't even touch on goals
Right.
at all. All.
Well, one of the really exciting things we talked about, if you remember last night, Sandy,
Yes.
we're going to be getting the cadre. I mean, I'm going to shift for a second to the academy, but the academy is going to be getting the Rotary Leadership Institute curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to look at it and we're going to make sure that we're not duplicating stuff. And we really think that the Rotary Leadership Academy should be the next level after level 3 of the Institute.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm going to do a curriculum review in the next month or so, and we're going to use that as the foundation for restructuring our program of study at the academy, which is also why I wanted to talk to the governors. You know, it all kind of ties together, right? But that'll be good. So it'll take a while to do it, but we really need to streamline our training. So I know 54 is doing that. So,
well, one of the things that has come up, and I don't want to take a lot of time, but I've had a couple of emails from people saying, Rotary Leadership Institute, I'm not interested in being a Rotary leader.
okay, that's okay.
And that's why I've been putting it in parentheses, learning.
Right.
It is learning. It's
Right.
learning what Rotary is all about. But on another thing, how do you see the environmental area working in a positive way for global grants?
How do you mean that?
Well, I mean, it's another area of focus. So I'm assuming that grants can be written with this.
After July 1st, it's going to open up and it'll basically be dealing with environment and climate issues around the world and whatever topics come up. But in my mind, one of the problems is garbage, you know, and it's a real human issue. And it's a real challenge if you've been to Indian villages, Guatemala, you know, you just go around villages and people don't have a place to destroy their garbage. There's no system, you know, for that. So that's just one little minor thing. But an exciting thing is that in 5495, just north of us, their environmental team has kids from their local high schools on it who are working on foundations for grant projects as teams of people and linking up with, you know, a host country, whoever that might be. So it's pretty cool, you know. And I mean, I think the other thing they're doing is kids are facilitating some of their group discussions at their workshops. So, you know, I think kids are going to be, youth interact and Rotaract are going to be really important for the future of the environmental area focus.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
You know?
And last but not least, you talked about what you call microfinance.
Yeah,
We actually have microcredit,
same thing.
right, in our district, and I don't know how many know that. Obviously, things are on hold right now because most of our microcredit is happening in Mexico. But I was there, probably over a year ago, and I saw that the tiniest amount of loans could make a huge difference in the lives of these families.
It's amazing what $50 will do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. You know, it just was phenomenal. That picture I showed you, there was about 20 moms there, all of whom had kids, varying ages. And every one of those people was successful with their grants of $50 or $75. And they were putting money, and I mean, I didn't go into all of it because of our time, but I had a photo that I don't think I included, that they were sitting around a table managing all the budgets themselves and teaching them how to manage money.
Right.
You know, so it's training them for jobs out in the general community. And most of them have had a 6th grade education, right? So anyway, it's very powerful, really powerful. That microfinance, microcredit's great.
Thanks, Gene.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Oh yeah, you're not done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Diane, I have a suggestion for podcast, maybe 2 podcasts, maybe one on microfinance and then a second one on what is a Rotary Cadre. I'm also going to be posting this video to YouTube, and I will send you the link for that here in a little bit as well, so you can use that as a resource. But
Okay, Gene, I've
Good.
got your name on it.
Okay.
this is going to be a series of questions that I think that you can answer all at once because they all have a similar theme. So
Okay, go ahead.
my questions are going to be, what are the minimum requirements to be a cadre? Can I serve as a cadre if I'm a board member of a club? Can I serve as a cadre if I'm already involved in my district? What are the financial requirements? What are your financial obligations being a cadre? Like being a club member, dues versus, contributions. What are your time commitments of being a cadre? And, how do you join the cadre? Do you have to be invited by Holger Knack, or you put in an application, or how does all of that work?
Okay. Anybody who is a Rotarian can be a cadre member, okay? First. The other piece is that what are the qualifications? You really need to have a professional background in the area of focus. So for instance, in education, it would need to be somebody who has a professional background in teaching and learning. It could be anything, but they need that background. If you were going to work in child and maternal health, you would probably need a background in pediatrics, be a doctor, be a nurse, gynecology, et cetera. So you really need a background in water and sanitation. You would need some background in, you could be a microbiologist in a, degree from college, or you could be working for a water company. So anyway, if you want to apply, you contact the Rotary.com or Rotary.org, or TRF, but Rotary, go to Rotary.org and then go to the foundation and just check, it's there, okay? You can fill out that application and you send it in. I think it really helps when you have somebody who is a cadre member recommend that you go to become a cadre. I've had one person from the academy this year say they were interested, and I walked the road with them. And when they saw what it entailed, they didn't want to be that committed. Okay. It's all volunteer. It costs you $0 out of your pocket though. Every trip I take is funded by the TRF, right? So they do my airfare. They pay your taxi to the airport. They do your hotel. You get a per diem rate. You get a per diem rate for the hotel you stay in, wherever you're staying. It's never cost me anything. You know what I mean? And I've been on 7 trips, I think now, and it's amazing experience. Anyway, does that answer all of them?
And time commitment, you know, you've got your trips and you said that you were spending sometimes 6 days, but what do you spend on a weekly or monthly basis as far as time?
Okay, if I'm gonna go to Belize to do a project, let's say, my prep for the project will probably be about 4 days. You know, really, because you got to read all the stuff, right? And then you got to acquaint yourself with the review format. You have to send emails back and forth to make sure all the things are set up, you know, that kind of stuff. So maybe 32, 40 hours, something like that over months. I mean, you prep for about 2 months before you go, so it's not overnight. The writing of the evaluation at the end takes about 3 hours maybe, and that's it. But I think if you want to be a cadre, you really need to be committed to doing that kind of work. And it can't be you've only got 2 hours a week. I don't think that would work. And it's hard for me to tell because I was a cadre for 1 year when I was a school district superintendent, and I was hustling, let me put it that way, because it was really hard to do them both, you know, but I wanted to do it, so I did it. And I wrote a global grant at the same time. So it's kind of what you do with your time, you know, what you're committed to. I hope that helps, but.
Thank you, Gene, good information.
Let me say this about it. It isn't as simple as flying to a place, visiting it for 3 days and coming back. That's at least only 1/3 of the time. So. And you also stay connected typically, or you can if you choose to. You stay connected with the community. Like when I was in Mumbai before the COVID deal, I'm still communicating with the principal of the school and sending her teacher training materials and helping them debrief some stuff via Zoom. I don't have to do that, but if you know what I mean, when you really get into stuff and you really build relationships, I mean, Jesus, you know, you make it work. So hope that helps. But there's no fees to join or anything. It's all volunteer.
Any other questions for Gene?
Well, Gene, did you realize that Wade wrote a book just recently?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I saw that. I haven't read it, but yeah, he did. Yeah. Amazing guy.
Very interesting. Yeah.
I think that's one more piece, I guess, just to share with folks. I've noticed that most of the people who do this work are very committed to it, and it isn't about time. They make it work because they love the work. So that's it.
Very cool.
Thanks, folks. Hope it helped.
Excellent
Thank you.
presentation,
Thank
Gene.
you.
Thanks, Gene.
Good stuff.
Diane, I got a surprise for you here in a minute. I'm glad that you're here.
A good surprise.
A good surprise.
Okay.
So you should see
Hi,
my
Sandy.
report screen now. Is that correct?
Let me see. I gotta move. I got 2 screens. That's why I have to keep moving stuff around.
Oh, I gotta stop.
Okay. Got it.
I'd like to stop recording. Hold on, let me stop my share.